Are you really surprised? Are you shocked that at the last second there's a bombshell report in the New York Times and they've got an assertion of a leak from the upcoming Bolton book that President Trump told John Bolton he really did want to withhold Ukraine financial aid in exchange for help in opposing his Democratic rivals? Is this really a Shazam Batman? I can't believe this happened. Or is this just more of what we know it to be? More lies, more of an attempted coup to unseat a duly elected president. Well, last week, Adam Schiff for Brains and Jerry the Nads Nadler, as well as the other impeachment managers from the House, presented their case to the United States Senate of why President Donald John Trump needed to be removed from office. And of course, it went nowhere. Why? First of all, they don't have a case. Second of all, they don't have any evidence. And thirdly, you can't go in there and insult the very people who are acting as your judge and jury. You can't tell them that they're all part of the cover-up. You can't tell them that they are part of the villains in this process for allowing President Trump to still, well, be. So what they did was they infuriated some of the very individuals they were hoping to sway over to their way of thinking. And then the president's legal team on Saturday really put the death knell into the coffin, to the point where the lying legacy corporate corrupt mainstream media by Saturday night was, this is it, the president's going to skate to an acquittal even after all of the facts have been presented. What facts? Adam Schiff making assertions and accusations are not facts. Accusations are not evidence. So, all of a sudden, though, we've got another bombshell. And how many bombshells have we had? We've had how many books about President Trump and his administration and what's been going on secretly behind closed doors? And this was going to be the book. This was going to be the very thing that would bring down his presidency. I never sweat these kind of things, and I'll tell you why. They haven't worked with any president. I mean, look at the books that came out during the Clinton years about supposedly, Bill and Hillary and their volatile fights inside the Oval Office, inside the White House. She would throw furniture, she would throw lamps, sometimes missing Bill, hitting Secret Service men. We had all these tell-all books. We had the same thing when Barack Obamas was president. Yeah, all right, yeah, for a couple of weeks, it's a little buzz, people buy the book. It's the same equivalency of a National Enquirer story. But at the end of the day, it didn't do anything to unseat Bill Clinton, didn't do anything to unseat Barack Obama, won't do anything to unseat Donald Trump. But the reaction that the GOP has to this, that's the area of concern. So, John Bolton has supposedly written a book, and why a reporter at the New York Times, though they haven't actually read the transcript of the book, and they admit that, sources tell them. The source could be the reporter in the cubicle next to him. Goes something like this. Hey, Bob. Yeah, Larry. Hey, Bob, look at me and tell me you heard that the Bolton book is going to accuse President Trump of wanting to withhold the Ukraine aid in exchange for a favor against his political rivals. Sure, I'll do that. The Trump book written by Bolton is going to allege that, he told John Bolton he really does want to withhold that Ukraine aid. Perfect. I have my source. That's how this works. That's what this is. So that gives them their plausible deniability. So when this comes out and it is proven incorrect, they shouted questions at the president today. Hey, did you say that to John Bolton? Because I've never had a conversation with John Bolton about Ukraine aid. Now, that all said, the damage is done because they've got the headline. Leaked transcript of the Bolton book. President Trump told John Bolton. Again, it's hearsay. It's third-hand information. And again, even if that's what John Bolton alleges, there's no proof. It is a he said, she said. And may I remind everyone, at the end of the day, Ukraine got their aid. No aid was withheld. And again, the Trump administration has given far more aid than the zero aid they ever got from the Obama Democratic administration. So there is no there. There is no crime there. What they have now is an accusation. And is it just enough now to get Collins and Romney saying, well, you know, this New York Times report, maybe we do need to hear from Bolton. Maybe he does need to come before us. See, Romney has just been waiting for an excuse to break with the Republican ranks. Now listen, I'm not going to go through all this point by point. I don't have the time, don't have the energy, and quite frankly, it's pointless because those of you that I'm talking to here, you get it. You know exactly what's going on. Let me tell you what needs to happen. It isn't just your continuing presence and your continuing voice and laying pressure on your own senators to make sure you acquit this president. But we need some people within the conservative movement, within the Republican movement, to basically walk into Romney's office, close the door, and explain the facts of life to him. Fact. If you press for witnesses and a non-acquittal of this president, fact, there will be hell to pay. Pastor, you shouldn't say that. It needs to be said. You know, sometimes we forget that there really are just evil people in this world. Nasty, demoniac individuals in this world. And I'm just talking about those that are self-serving and looking out for numero uno, number one, and want to get ahead and will lie, cheat, whatever they have to do to get there. I mean just outright evil, rotten, nasty people. That would be a lot of the people on the liberal left. I'm going to make a statement right now because some of you wig out that a pastor has these types of political aggressive ideas. Let me give you one that'll really set you off. You really cannot call yourself a Christian and vote in alliance with the Democratic Party. You can't do it. Not on any level. You can't do it. You can't call yourself a card-carrying, proud Democrat and align yourself with a party that, number one, endorses the murder of children and abortion, now outright infanticide, outright post-birth abortion. Are you kidding me? And you think you can still keep your party affiliation? Really? What? And all of this Me Too and pedophile with the Rape Island and the Weinsteins and all of this just vile crapola. What side of the aisle is that all coming from? Where is that all coming from? And you've got a political party that has taken every type of freak and subhuman subculture, just absolute vileness, who have contempt not only for the Constitution but human life and God and anything that might even remotely be considered sacred, and they just have a visceral hatred for it, and they twist and they pervert, and there's 32 sexes and blah 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 puke. and they all get represented and defended by the Democratic Party. And you want to tell me that you don't think Trump is very Christian? First sitting U.S. president to ever attend the pro-life rally in Washington, D.C. Kudos for him. Why, all these other so-called Christian right politicians that we have, they run every year as the authentic conservatives. They've had their testimony approved by George Will and everything, and the never-Trumpers love them. And yet, when push comes to shove, they never ever really put their carcass out on the line for the things that they try to sucker you and I into believing, so we vote for them. There are vile, nasty, rotten individuals, and Mitt Romney, he's one of them. He is a corrupt no-good. And so the way you're going to keep the Mitt Romneys and some of those other Republicans you're worried that might jump the fence here, and well, now they might feel the pressure now to vote for witnesses or not acquit the president. What do we do? What do we do? Well, stop biting your nails. Stop crying. Buck up, suck up, and somebody needs to quietly pull Mr. Romney aside and explain that it would be in his best interest to not vote against the will of the American people. Right now we have a president who is riding the highest approval ratings he's ever had. We have the rockinest, rollingest economy we have ever had. The Christian right is solidly behind him. Evangelicals are solidly behind him. Yet we're supposed to believe over the weekend the mainstream lying legacy corporate corrupt media, along with even faux pas news, formerly known as Fox News, that despite all of this, the majority of the Americans still want Trump impeached and removed from office? I'm sorry, that's just total BS. You came close to cussing. I didn't say bull. I just said it was BS. Oh, did I say it? Yes, I did. Because sometimes things need to be said. The Apostle Paul said, sometimes it's better to say 10 words that people understand than 10,000 words no one has a clue what you're talking about. What's happening in Washington, D.C. right now ought to make every decent, patriotic, God-loving, God-fearing Christian American nauseated and angry. They are not trying to do justice and find out if the president really did something wrong. They are trying to pull off a coup using an impeachment process as their means of taking out the will of the American people. Because at the end of the day, their real enemy here is not simply Donald Trump, though they hate him because he is not part of the establishment. They hate him because he is not part of the whole globalist agenda. He didn't come up through the ranks. He's not part of the clique. He's not part of the oligarch. It's you. How dare you actually think those lines and that rhetoric and that stuff they try to pass off and patriotic goosebumps, this government of the people, by the people, for the people. Oh, that doesn't really mean anything. We're in charge. How dare you think you can vote for who you want? See, at the end of the day, they don't just hate Donald Trump. They hate me. They hate you. That should tell you all you need to know about this entire impeachment farce. And that is exactly what it is. Keep pressure on your senator to make sure they do not vote against the president, that they do not vote for additional witnesses, and they better be voting the acquittal of President Donald J. Trump. That's my Monday rant. Welcome back, everybody. Glad to be here. Hey, our channel is starting to gain some subscriptions. That is until YouTube figures it out and they start pulling them again, because that's what they do to help us out. So you keep giving us a thumbs up. You keep smacking the bell. Make sure you check the word all so you get notification of all of my rants. Check your subscription. Make sure you're still subscribed. Well, Pastor Marty, I just subscribed to your channel on Friday, and I guarantee you by today, YouTube's probably already pulled it because you really didn't mean it. They want channels like mine to go away. Don't let them steal this from you. And we'll be back with another rant.